Oh yeah. Hello. I believe that we've had some sort of clock change happening somewhere around the world, so it's kind of like confused a few people. Yeah, sorry about that. It's yeah. Anyway, you're here. You're here, which is really really great. We've got Colleen and Denise and Christine already here. So today I wanted to show you guys how to make a one pot dish. I'm sharing a lot of like one pot dishes with you guys because I think that there's something that will make your life a lot easier. And it also like encourages people to cook from scratch even when they kind of can't be bothered, which like no judgment at all because it happens to me all the time. Just because I'm a chef, you know, I don't necessarily always want to be cooking all the time and feel like spending like hours in the kitchen. Sometimes I just don't have those hours to spend in the kitchen. So I do a lot of one pot dishes at home. Absolutely tons of them. Okay, so yeah, we've got Colleen, Denise, Christine here, Hayley. Oh, and the clock changes with her as well. Justine is here. Ava is here. Just hello from Dublin. Hello. Yes. So with the one pot dishes, you know, I've just spoke to you guys about that before, and I think we made that a cavallonero dish, didn't we, a few weeks ago? The cavallonero dish, and we did actually have a little discussion about putting onions or raw garlic into dishes like this, and if you can do it without having to fry them, basically. So in a couple of weeks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys another one pot dish, which is a really simple stew, which has loads of onions in it, but there's no frying involved whatsoever, which is really really great for, you know, a few different reasons, because, you know, it's simpler, it's quicker. If you're somebody who doesn't want to use oil or you want to reduce oil, then, you know, it's a really really good option, but that's for in a few weeks time. Today's dish is a coconut curry, so loads and loads and loads of flavour going on in this. You'll notice it in the ingredients. They're not over there, they're over there. They're over there. You notice in the ingredients there's no garlic in there. That is like a personal thing for me. I've always found that when I make something like a coconut curry, if I have garlic in it, I can kind of taste it like 3 days after. And it's kind of stale and it's not very nice at all. I love garlic, by the way, absolutely love garlic, but it's something to do with like the combination. I don't know what it is. So I've actually started leaving garlic out of my coconut dishes, and I've found that I don't get that effect. That was probably too much information there, but there you go. There you go. Okay. Okay. Oh, Colleen says that she loves onions. Good, good, good. Yeah, me too. Me too. And that dish that I mentioned that I'll show in a few weeks' time has a load of onions in it. Really great because they're cheap. They're cheap and they're available everywhere. And Denise said our clocks went forward 1 hour too. So it's 8 a.m. here. Okay, right. So, good breakfast this. Breakfast of champions. So do let me know if you guys are cooking along at home, or, you know, if you're just like sitting there with a cup of tea and your feet up, then let me know that as well. Do you know if I've got anything else to tell you about what's been going on this week? Well, I've got my couple of recipes, and there is a recipe that I developed which is oatmeal raisin cookies, which I think that we should do next week. Do you guys fancy oatmeal raisin cookies next week? And the good thing about this recipe is that there is the regular version that uses coconut oil, or there is a different version where you replace coconut oil with peanut butter. So we can do that next week because I think, you know, it's nice to do sweet, savoury, sweet, savoury, sweet, savoury, sweet, savoury. Okay, so Christine is saying I love onions too. I had a message from Sainsbury's to say that I was their #1 buyer of their imperfect onions in the area. That's that's a really great like title for you. I love it. I love it. Oh, Paul is here. Paul is has said we are in Europe, but the clocks go forward tomorrow. Yes. We go forward on the 28th, do we? Oh, I thought it was 21st tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, you guys can tell me whether that's true or not. Justine says a big thumbs up for the cookies. That's great. Colleen says yes, but without the raisins. Okay, interesting one. So will you be replacing the raisins with like sultanas or any other dried fruit, or literally do you just not like them and you're like, I'll just put chocolate chips in them instead. Hayley says, do you have shallots? Do you mean in this recipe? So in this recipe, I'm just using regular onions because they're cheaper. But you can use shallots if you want to. Mary is here. Mary says, watching in Virginia with my feet up, coffee in hand, and dog on my lap. Well, that sounds nice. That sounds very nice. It says yes to cookies. Good, good, good. Me is back. So I think it was your first show last week. So glad to have you back. It says hi from Hong Kong. Oh, Denise has suggested for the cookies, instead of the raisins, what about dried cranberries? That's a very, very good option. Karen says yes, yes, yes to cookies. No, okay, right. Okay. Paul is saying, while hiding your expensive vegan library. Okay, so he's like having a little chat to one side. Now, Paul, if we do cookies next week, I'm expecting you to double batch it, okay? Double batch, yeah? Quadruple batch. Can't really make that into a song, it's far too long. Justine says, we'll have to use the frozen onions in the freezer. Absolutely fine, absolutely fine. We are going to blend them though. Okay, so guys, with the equipment today, all you really need is big pot, preferably with a lid. Now, with one pot dishes, I have also used a frying pan like this. As long as it's kind of like deep enough and it will hold everything, then that's fine. But when it comes to noodles, we do want to put a lid on it. We do want to put a lid on it. So either have like a pot like this that has a lid on it, or have a pot like this and then just like nick a lid from something else and pop that on it. But we do need a lid with it today. Just pop this back. And then the other thing that we need is either a food processor, or this is a chopper attachment of a hand blender. Either one. Now, if you don't have these, there is a workaround solution, because we are going to be blending the root ginger and also the onion into a paste. But if you don't have one of these, you don't have a food processor, then you could use a fine grater and just, grate it as finely as you can. And that will be, near enough as good as. So basically what we're going to do first is we're going to be making this ginger and onion paste. And that's a really, really great way to get loads of flavour out of those ingredients. Same with garlic as well. Absolutely the same with garlic. So basically you kind of get a bit more bang for your buck. So, it's a great way to use cheap ingredients but get the most out of them. Let me just see if we've got any more questions before we get going. Everyone says yes to cookies. Who would say no to cookies? Come on. Justine says, my blender has soya beans in it. Now, is this because, see, Justine is one of my chef students. Is this because you are making your own tofu? I think it might be, which is amazing, which is absolutely amazing. So don't worry about that. Use a grater, use a fine grater. Paul says, this is our 165th Facebook Live. Denise mentions thank you for sharing. So if you guys want to share this live before I get going, I am going to stop talking and I'm going to start cooking in a moment. Then you can just click on the share button. Really, really easy to do. Share it to your own timeline, to whatever groups you're in, to anybody that you think might find this vegan, healthy, really easy recipe useful. Nudge, nudge. It's nice to share it with people you think that might need it. So, okay, Denise says, I'm not really into peas or sugar snap peas. Any substitutions? Asking for a friend. Okay, so the veg that we're using in the dish today is all quick cook veg. Okay, so anything that's quick cook. So you could use sweet corn, like the little mini sweet corn that are really cute. Anything like that. Mange too, but I'm imagining if you don't like sugar snap peas, you probably don't like mange too as well. You could use carrots, but just finely slice them. If you've got a mandolin, that's a better way to go. Any kind of stir fry veg, so peppers would be great. Anything like that that cooks quickly, then add it. Now, things that I wouldn't add, celery. Don't really understand when people put celery in dishes like this, because I think that the flavour, The flavour, sorry, I can talk, honestly. So out of practice talking. The flavour of celery is too overpowering, I think, for the other flavours, and I don't think it really goes. Denise says I can do carrots, peppers, and mushrooms. All of the above. All of the any of the above, or all of the above, whichever. So I know we have some pea haters in the group, but one of the reasons I do like to use them is because they're cheap. They're available everywhere. You can get them frozen and they can just like live in your freezer. Really simple to pull out and put into a dish like this. Okay, right, guys, let's get cooking. Now we do have, of course, a rainbow on the show. We always have a rainbow on the show. And there are no questions for you guys this week. You'll be glad to know. So you just have to guess what is underneath the rainbow. And also, what is the relevance? What is the relevance? So let's go to the overhead cam and let's get cooking. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is get the ginger. Ginger is over here. And I'm just gonna take off this skin. And the reason why I'm getting rid of the skin isn't because, you know, it's bad for you or, you know, anything like that. This is organic anyway, so, you know, the skin doesn't contain any pesticides or anything like that. But it's just because we're going to be making it into a puree, and so we want it to be as pureed as we possibly can get it. So we don't want any kind of like hard bits in there. So Annie says, I love peas, so sweet and summery. Yes, me too. And Justine says it's a yellow daffodil under the rainbow. Yes, it is. Well done for guessing very, very quickly. Does anybody know? Well, actually, they've got like there's a couple of references. Yes, first day of spring. Connie says spring equinox underneath the rainbow. Yeah. Lynn says first day of spring daffodil. Yeah. But can you see what our Mr. Proud Daffodil is saying? There we go. Oh, no. Hey. I always think like daffodils, like they're such proud flowers, and that's why he looks like he does, like puffing out his chest. He's very, very proud of his lovely yellowness. Hey, there we go. Okay. Right. Justine says, yes, I was planning on beating Colleen. Good, well done. And Colleen says that you beat me. I had trouble spelling equinox. Okay, so with our ginger, we're just going to roughly chop it. So with both the onion and the ginger, we just have to roughly chop them because we're going to be blending them. So they have to be small enough for our blender to deal with. But we don't have to cut them into small pieces. Oh, Gloria's here. And Gloria says that daffodil is her favourite flower. Annie says, hello, Mr. Daffodil. Is it the Welsh connection? Yes. So this is particularly for Bradley, Barney and Annie. So Annie, of course, all of you know, but Bradley is her grandson who is watching today. So hello, Bradley. And then Barney is Annie's lovely dog. So that's for you guys. No, so that's the connection. We've got a Welsh connection today. There we go. Okay, so with our onion, again, just like roughly chopping it. So you can see, you know, like not small pieces. So it just makes life a lot easier. It makes this recipe a lot quicker. And this is going to provide lots and lots of flavour, this base. Okay, so now we can grab our blender and just pop our ginger and onion into that. Okay, now I'm just going to add a little splash of water, so around 2 tablespoons of water, and that will just help the blender go round and round. Okay, and then we can just pop the lid on, and when we actually blend it, we might just need to move it around a bit to make sure that all of the veggies go against the blade. There we go. Okay, so Justine is asking 2 tablespoons with frozen veg. Yeah, you'll probably need the same amount. You'll probably need the same amount. I don't think that it's going to make a huge amount of difference that your onions are frozen and mine aren't. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Oh, Paula's just mentioned about there's a post in the community hub. I have to catch up with that. I have not seen that yet. I have not seen that yet. Because she has quite a library, does she? Quite a vegan library. Okay, so just make sure that it's like pureed, all, you know, as much as we can. And I can see that there are some bits of ginger down there that need a bit more of a blend. So I'll just give it another whiz. There we go, mind your ears, guys. Right, much better. Much better. There we go. And you, anyone who watches me regularly will know that I do really like using hand blenders and hand blenders that have these chopper attachments. I think that they are so incredibly useful. Really incredibly useful. So let's see how this is. Can't see any lumps in that. Oh, there's one. Just take that one out. There we go, and then we're good to go. So that's what we're looking for. It's just a puree, it's a paste. Okay, so now we can heat our pan. I'll put this on like a medium heat, because first of all we're going to be frying our spice paste. Frying our onion and ginger paste, and I'm going to use some sesame oil for this, around 1 tablespoon. I'll just get my spoon, wipe it off because this had water on it, so we don't want to put water in there because it will start spitting. And I'm using sesame oil, toasted sesame oil, because this is just going to add like another flavour. Okay, so we'll just let this warm up before we put this in. Okay. Oh, so Lyra's here. Lyra's here. Lyra's a very talented graphic designer, and she's helping me redesign the website. So that's coming along soon. It's very exciting. Okay. I can just see another little lump in there. So we'll just wait till this is a bit hotter. We do have a little bit of water in here, remember, because we pop that in there just to help the blender. Because sometimes the blender needs a bit of a hand, really. You know, sometimes we're asking it to do like a bit too much. And so, you know, if the mixture's a bit too dry, then it can really struggle. There we go. There's just a faint sizzle, which is what we're looking for. And so we need to fry this off to get rid of the raw flavour. Because this is going to be a dish that is going to cook fairly quickly. So, you know, if we added raw onion to it and didn't fry it off, it just wouldn't have enough time to cook out. Okay, so we do need to keep an eye on this, and don't be surprised if this turns blue. Okay, sometimes there is this, you know, weird like chemical reaction that happens. But it's absolutely fine, absolutely fine. Colleen says, my sesame oil is not toasted. Will that make a big difference in flavour? A little, but in this dish, you know, there's loads and loads of other flavours going on, so you won't really notice it as much. And Justine has the same thing as well. But what I would say is that quite often, I mean, like mine doesn't say toasted, but I know that it is toasted. I know that it's toasted because I can smell it. So it might be that yours just doesn't say that, but the toasted sesame oil has a lot of a stronger flavour. With like regular sesame oil that isn't toasted, you can't really smell much. You can't really, you know, it doesn't really have a distinct smell. So, you know, that might be the case, but honestly, it doesn't really matter in this recipe at all. Okay, guys, so we're just gonna hang here for about 10 minutes and let this do its thing. But as I said, you know, we've got to keep an eye on it because we don't want it to burn. And so we've got a little bit of water still here. So if it does really dry out and it starts to burn, we can add little splashes of water so it keeps on cooking, but we're not adding any more oil. And so this is a really, really great way to minimise the amount of oil we put into recipes. Justine says, it says toasted on the back. Yeah, I don't know why they do that. Because it is very, very confusing. It is very confusing. So just every now and again, I'm giving this a little mix. Once the water evaporates from here, it might all start clumping together a bit more. So you might need to just kind of like mush it down so that as much of the surface area as possible is hitting the bottom of the pan. Okay, so whilst that is doing its thing, I've got pretty much all of my ingredients here, apart from the bits and pieces I actually take from the freezer. And so I'll just go and grab them. And so these are the 3 ingredients that I usually keep in the freezer. And I think we had a little bit of chat about that on one of the posts this week. So I've got my chili that I just keep in the freezer, and I just take it straight from the freezer. I don't let it defrost or anything like that. And actually, I prefer chopping it when it's in this state, especially if I'm doing just slices of it, because it's much firmer and it's actually, I find it easier to cut. And then I've got my kaffir lime leaves here. So let me just grab those out. There we go. And then the rest of the leaves in here are my curry leaves. So the curry leaves and the kaffir leaves are optional. Definitely optional. You don't have to put them in. But if you can get hold of them, then they're great to add more flavour. And, you know, as you've seen, I keep mine in the freezer. So, you know, if you don't have them readily available to you, but, you know, maybe there's somewhere that you go like once a month or, you know, that type of thing that you know you can get them, or even like once a year, you know, then just buy loads of them and pop them in your freezer. And they do really, really well in the freezer, and you can just use them straight out of the freezer, and they don't take up much space. You know, they really, really don't take up much space. Okay, now let me see. We've had a few comments here. Annie says, I am guilty of posting a photo of my vegan cookbooks by one of the students. I hope that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love you guys posting things like that. Sometimes I just don't get to see them. That's all. My explanation for loving books is as a child, I could not read due to dyslexia. So when it actually clicked and I learned to read, I became obsessed with books, and now I'm obsessed with vegan cuisine. Oh, that's lovely. I love that story. Jessie says, screen's freezing. Is that just me? I think it might be you, babe, because nobody else put their hand up. Okay, so this is starting to catch on the bottom, so I'm just going to add little bits of water. And that will deglaze the pan a bit, but I'm just going to turn it down because, you know, this hob it gets so hot. I know that's what hobs are meant to be doing, but there we go. There we go. And I just need to make sure that I'm really keeping an eye on it now. So we want this to change colour, and also you'll notice that the smell will change as well. So the raw smell will go. So a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Okay, but while we're waiting for this, I can prepare the other ingredients. There we go. Okay, so what have we got first? So we've got our cumin and turmeric, so that will be going in next. And then we've got our chili. So I said like half to one whole fresh chili, but you know, that's a complete like choose your own adventure thing. So I'm just gonna cut slices of it, and as I said, I find it like so much easier to cut frozen chilies. There. So I'm just going to add that much. I'll pop the chili back in the freezer. There we go. And then what else do we need to prepare? So I need to prepare my kaffir lime leaves. And the way that I'm going to do that is just by cutting that part of the leaf off, cutting the stem out. There we go, and we can get rid of the stem. And same with this one as well. Kaffir lime leaves are a really, really good cheat to add lots of flavour to a dish. Anyone who's cooking along at home, make sure you keep an eye on your onions and ginger. There we go. Okay, so now I just put the leaves all together, stack them on top of each other. Okay, George has asked a question. Can I swap some asparagus for the peas, or would the taste of asparagus overpower the dish? I don't think it would, because asparagus doesn't, I don't think it has like a massively strong flavour. So I think you'll probably be okay with it. Asparagus is lovely. It's really, really such a nice and very seasonal ingredient now. Okay, and then I chop one way with my scissors to see if I can hold this up to you guys while I'm actually doing it. There we go. Okay, so I chop one way and then I turn it around, and I'm going to have to do this closer to the board, I'm afraid, otherwise bits of leaf are going to go everywhere. And then I just cut that way. I love using scissors in the kitchen. I think like it's such a good cheat. It's such a good cheat. So Colleen, I don't know if you've seen the video that I made for you earlier about the pizza, but I actually cut that thin pizza with a pair of scissors as well. I mean, some people will probably think that is sacrilege, but I don't care, because, you know, anything that makes life easier. So again, just with these leaves, chopping them one way, and then turn it around and chop them the other way. Oh, Annie saying, I'm really sorry if people are replying. I'm watching on my phone and I can't see people's comments very well. Oh, right, okay. Yes, sometimes I think that they can really disappear very quickly on your phone. Justine says, if you have dry leaves, do you just scrunch them? So you're going to have to put them in whole. You're going to have to put them in whole if you've got dried leaves. And that's why I've stipulated fresh. You know, I don't ever use dried kaffir lime leaves, because, to be honest, they're a bit of a waste of time. They don't have a huge amount of flavour. Well, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get much flavour out of them. But the thing is, like, because they're quite dry, you know, they'll have like a texture to them. So you don't want to scrunch them up, because you'll get kind of like hard little bits of the dry leaves in the curry. So Justine, I'll just leave them whole. Denise says, I use your trick of using scissors with sun-dried tomatoes. Yes, Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I have chopped up the kaffir lime leaves. With the curry leaves, we don't have to chop them up at all. And then the last thing, just to prepare, is my tempeh. So I'm just using a small amount of tempeh in this dish, and I'm going to cut it into small pieces. And the reason why I wanted to add this to the dish was because otherwise you can feel quite hungry soon after eating this. So this is just to, you know, make you feel more full up. But I am just going to cut into small pieces like that. And we don't have to marinate it or anything like that. I know Annie has been having some tempeh adventures recently, and she's been making her own tempeh because she's on the chef course with me. So it's great to see everyone exploring making tempeh, which isn't the easiest thing to do, but once you get it, you got it, and you just kind of like rinse and repeat like the exact conditions where you had your tempeh success. Okay. Oh, sorry, there was a question from Aruj. Aruj says, where can we find kaffir lime leaves? So, my kaffir lime leaves were actually from Sainsbury's, babe. They were actually from Sainsbury's. Can you believe that? So, whenever I'm there, and that isn't like our regular supermarket, but I always just stock up on kaffir lime leaves and also on curry leaves as well. I just grab like handfuls of them and just pop them into one bag in the freezer. Okay, so we just need to cut up our tempeh. So it is that size. Just check on our onion and ginger. That is doing very, very well. You can see that the colour of this has changed and it doesn't smell raw anymore, which is absolutely fabulous. Let me just see if I've missed any questions or comments. Oh, Jess said thanks for the cookies. So I put a little surprise in his lunchbox today, and so he had some surprise cookies. Right, okay, so now we can add all of those other ingredients to this pan. I'm just going to add a little bit of water because I can see that that is burning a little bit there. There we go. And we don't want it to burn whilst I add all of the other ingredients. Right, okay, so the next ingredients are our cumin. So 1 teaspoon cumin, half a teaspoon turmeric. There we go. We've got our fresh chilli and tamari or soy sauce, 1 tablespoon. Whoop. There we go. Now we've got our can of coconut milk. Now we've got 800 millilitres of water, and you'll see that I purposefully don't have 800 millilitres of water out on the counter. And the reason for that is, you guys can come over here. So, you know, in our house, like, you know, as most people do nowadays, like we recycle. But of course, in order to recycle, we need to wash out the can. So if a recipe needs water, then come over to the sink. By the way, this is the sink. But you knew that already, right? And then I fill the can and I kind of swoosh it around at the same time. And then we've got our water. There we go. And the lid is actually still in there. So the lid is add a little rinse as well. And I know that there's 400 millilitres in here. So it's going to be 2 cans. Right, there we go. So we haven't wasted any water by doing that. And we've kind of like rinsed out the can at the same time. Okay, now we can continue putting all of our ingredients in here. So now our salt. So around like 1 teaspoon of salt. But you know, you can use a bit less if you want. I would say like at least half a teaspoon of salt. And then we've got our sugar snap peas, our frozen peas, or whatever it is that all the pea haters are going to use. And then also our curry leaves, tempeh, kaffir lime leaves. Okay, so basically everything goes in there except the noodles at the moment. Okay, everything except the noodles. And we're just going to hang here for 10 minutes just to let the flavours develop. So we don't need to do anything to it. We might just like put the heat up a little bit. We want to make sure that it doesn't get too hot. So we don't want it to bubble and boil, because what can happen is, you know, if you're using coconut milk and something bubbles, then it can actually split. And although like the flavour's fine, you know, the flavour's absolutely fine if it splits, it's not a problem at all. It just doesn't look very nice. It doesn't look very nice. Okay, so let me just see if we've got any more questions. Oh, Colleen says that I have the same rainbow measuring spoons. Ah, yeah, I love these. I love these. I'm actually starting to make my own measuring spoons. Yeah, because I've been really getting into air dry clay. It's so amazing. It's like being a kid again and like playing with Play-Doh. I absolutely love it. Oh, Arisha, you are so cute with that on. Well, it's cold today. Like this morning, there were blue skies and me and Jeff were having breakfast and I said like, you know, look at the sky, like there's hardly a cloud in the sky, and then by like 9 o'clock, just complete cloud, so a bit chilly today. Okay, so Justine says, what was after coconut milk? And Arisha's water. Thank you. So basically, you don't have to put them in a particular order. I just do it in the order that I've listed it in the thing, in the ingredients list there. Just so that you guys can like follow along if you want to. But basically, it doesn't really matter. There are like 3 parts to this recipe. So first of all, we've got making the ginger and the onion paste and frying it off. Yeah, that's part 1. Part 2 is adding everything else except the noodles. And then part 3 is, you guessed it, adding the noodles. So we'll do that in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I reckon. So if you guys have any questions for me, now is a really good time to ask, because I'm just stirring the pot. That's all I'm doing. I'm just stirring the pot. So, but honestly, it smells divine. It's got so much flavour in it. And really, you know, when we're making something like this, it's all about just like lots and lots of layers of flavour, lots of, you know, like fragrant things in it as well. You know, like kaffir lime leaves are very fragrant. You could also add lemongrass if you wanted to add lemongrass, but I would suggest if you do want to add something like lemongrass, add it with the ginger and the onion to the blender and blend it. Make it into a paste as well, so you really get a lot of flavour. You really get a lot of flavour. Justine is mentioning tofu, question mark. That could be anything. Oh, she said, you missed the homemade tofu comment. So I know that I saw that you mentioned earlier that you were using your blender for making soy milk, which I think is a precursor to you making the homemade tofu, which is on the course. So I don't know, did you mention something else? Did you mention something? Oh, there it is, I saw it. Yeah, you're going to use your homemade tofu. Good. I mean, homemade tofu is like, it's so much easier than you think it's going to be to make. And when I've made it in class, like students just have like the best expression on their face, because they're like, it's like total like light bulb moment. Like, it's really that easy to make. Yeah, it's really that easy to make. And one of the amazing things about, well, where tofu could go to in the UK is that Hodmadods are trying to grow soybeans, which would mean that we would get UK grown tofu that would be organic, and you know, it would be completely grown and made in the country in which we're consuming it, which would be awesome. It would be really awesome. George said, your lives, this community, and the Great Pottery Throwdown remind me each week that this world is full of wonderful, good people. Oh, that's lovely. That's really, really lovely. Yes, well, I definitely have the same thing. Like, this is like so like the highlight of my week. Okay, so I think that we're ready to pop the noodles in now. I just want to show you guys how much sauce is in this, because the sauce is very, very, very important when we're doing a one pot dish like this. So there we go. So very, very, very saucy. There's loads and loads and loads of liquid going on here. Absolutely tons of it. And the reason why we need all that is because the noodles are going to soak up a lot of the sauce. Now, usually, you know, with these noodles, people would put them in a pan of boiling water, and then, you know, cook them out and then maybe add them to a dish, or add them to a plate and then put the other stuff on top of it, or whatever. But what I find happens with noodles like this is that it means that they can just taste a bit watery, basically, because what they've done is they've sucked up water. So when you eat it, like the flavours just aren't going to be as strong. They aren't going to be as strong. But also, my issue with doing that is that you're making more work for yourself. You're making more work for yourself. So what we can do with this is we can just like pop them in. And if you find that these are a bit too long, if they're a bit too long and, you know, it can either be difficult to eat or mix around, then you can just tear them with your hands. There we go. But some people like the really, really long one. So we'll have a mix. We'll have a mix. Okay. Right. So that's our noodles. And that. I'll just bring this over. Yay. Because this is all we need now. This is all we need. So we're just going to make sure that they're underneath the liquid so that they all cook out properly. So just pushing down the noodles. These colours are beautiful, by the way. Really, really nice. Let me just taste this. It tastes lovely. Oh yeah. Oh, that's quite a spicy one. That's quite a spicy one. So I must warn you, Jeff. Spicy tonight. Here we go. Okay, and now we can just put the lid on for 5 minutes. And then this should be done. So how easy is that? How easy is that? Very, very easy. Okay, Annie here says, yes, I'm not giving up on tempeh. I've ordered a heat box, which still hasn't come. But the heat pad came today. Good, good, good. I bought a book, which started the whole question about how many vegan cookbooks do you have? And it's got recipes on tempeh, miso and natto, which I don't think I'll be attempting for a while, as I've been told it's even harder to make than tempeh. Well, yeah, I mean, miso takes many months to make, and I've never delved into it because, as you know, Annie, I'm quite an impatient chef. So, and I don't really want to wait 3 months to see whether the recipes worked. So now I've had natto. And actually, when I was doing some consultancy work for the people at Co-op and like a few other brands, and I took along like a really, really big selection of different vegan products. So from the very, you know, regular stuff right through to the quite out there, and the thing that was like right at the end of that totally out there type of vegan food was natto. Because it's very, very special. You lift up a spoon of it. It's basically fermented soybeans. So you lift up a spoonful of these beans, and then you get all these strands that are still stuck to the bit that's on the plate and the bit that's on your spoon, and it's very earthy taste, like very, very, very earthy. It's really, really good for your tummy though. Really, really good for your digestive system apparently. But it is, it's one of those vegan foods that we don't tell non-vegan people about. Because, you know. Okay, Justine says, easy. Can you batch make this? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what I would say is though, when you take it out of the freezer to actually cook it, make sure that you don't cook it for too long. when you reheat it, because these noodles can eventually fall apart if they cook for too long. Okay, so let me just see how our noodles, oh yeah, they're doing very well. So maybe just a few minutes more. So guys, this is like a super versatile recipe, you know, so you guys can swap out the veggies that I've used. You can add other spices if you want to. You can use, I use brown rice noodles, you can use white rice noodles if you want, but those noodles, they do have to be the very, very fine ones, because we're cooking them in here, so they need to be like fairly quick to cook. Okay, so Paul says Easter Sunday always falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon. I did not know that. After the spring equinox, which happened this morning. Oh, wow. Okay, so what are you guys making for Easter? Is anybody making any special Easter recipes? We've got a few on the website. There is our Easter bunny pancakes, which were a lot of fun to make. And what else have we got? We've got those healthy hot cross buns. Oh, and filled Easter eggs. Yes, Easter eggs stuffed with your favourite chocolate bar. So if you do want to make something like that as a gift, you know, as an alternative gift to home make your Easter eggs rather than buying them from a shop, then check out that recipe, because it is really, really nice. Like Easter eggs that actually have like caramel and nougat and peanut and stuff like that in it. I'm actually drooling right now. Okay guys, let me see if we've got any more comments. Annie says it looks lovely, can't wait to make it. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, Disney says making Easter eggs, shh, don't tell Joss. Okay, I won't. Shh, everybody, it's our secret. Denise says, the first time I saw you on, you were making the Easter bunny pancakes. Oh, I love that recipe, it's so much fun. So much fun. And Justine says it smells lovely. Good, good, good. Okay, let's get you guys over to the overhead camera. There we go. So the sugar snap peas still looking quite lovely and bright, which is what we want. And now I can grab some of this. There we go. I'm being rather messy. I'm being very, very messy with this today. Oh, I love this so much. Here we go, guys. How delicious is that? Bowl of lovely, bright coloured, really tasty, completely animal-free food. And it's so easy. It's so easy. Okay, so, of course, taste test time. Just turn that off. Oh, Ava says, I will do our fake egg salad with chickpea, vegan mayo, spring onion, and black salt. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds very, very good. And Justine says, oh, it's ready. Good, good, good. Wow, how quick and easy was that? Really, really, really easy. Okay, so grab some of the noodles. See, the thing is that I don't want to eat them and get it all over my chin, which is just going to happen, isn't it? Because this is going to be really, really messy. My glasses are steamed up. This is so good. Honestly, so much flavour. And it's so warming as well. And guys, when you cut the tempeh that small, that you don't need a marinade. Same with tofu, you know, you don't need to, you know, do that extra step. But you could also use, you know, like the tofu that is already marinated, or smoked tofu as well would be really, really lovely in this. Just to kind of like give your tummy a bit of extra full upness. That was always like an advert for it. Okay, so Oh, Denise says that looks like a perfect one-pot spring dish. It is! It is, it's exactly that. Exactly that. Oh, Denise has also said vegan food feeds the soul. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this is just so easy, guys. Like, so incredibly easy. Really, really, like, so tasty as well. And if you are really hankering after a takeaway, but you don't actually want to get a takeaway, then you could make this and then just pop it into takeaway boxes. You know, if you've got like some that you like had left over from takeaways, and you know, we all kind of like wash them up and we end up with like loads in our cupboards, then just grab one. And I did used to do this occasionally. Just pop the food in there and eat it from that, and it feels like, oh yeah, I've got takeaway, but it's like really, really healthy. I made it myself. It's cheaper. It's, you know, it's healthier. What more could you want? What more could you want? Right, okay, guys. So that's today's recipe. I really, really hope that you make this because it would just really make your life so much easier. Justine says, laugh out loud. When I saw my nephew, I decided to make him laugh by slurping the noodles. That was a mistake. 10 minutes of slurping noodles. Colleen says, thank you, Chef. Ava says, thank you, Chef. It was so delicious. Oh, you made it. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so glad. So, guys, if you haven't cooked along today, then please do try making this recipe. Because, yeah, just meal times are just going to be incredibly easy, incredibly easy. And we can all get some really good, healthy food in us. And, you know, give us loads of, like, energy to do lots more amazing things. Okay, guys. So, thank you for joining me today. And as always, have a good day.